Welcome to World Pulse New. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The Supreme Court has struck down the Trump administration's sweeping tariffs, sending shockwaves through the nation and the world. This isn't just about taxes on goods, it's a major statement on presidential power and global trade rules. For years, these tariffs sparked fierce debate, affecting prices, jobs, and America's relationships with its allies. The court's decision challenges the legal foundation of these policies, questioning whether the president can impose such broad taxes without Congress. This sets a new precedent, reshaping how future presidents wield economic power. The case reached the Supreme Court after businesses argued the tariffs caused more harm than good, while the administration defended them as vital for national security. As of today, the full impact is just beginning to unfold, raising urgent questions about prices, jobs, and America's role in the global economy. This is a pivotal chapter in America's economic story. To grasp the Supreme Court's decision, we first need to understand tariffs. Taxes placed on imported goods that enter the country. Tariffs have been used for centuries as a tool by governments to influence trade, protect local industries, and generate revenue. By making foreign products more expensive, tariffs encourage consumers to buy goods made within their own country, supporting domestic businesses and workers. These taxes are designed to level the playing field for American-made alternatives, making them more attractive to buyers and helping local manufacturers compete against cheaper imports. The Trump administration used tariffs aggressively under the America First banner, arguing that unfair trade deals and global competition had cost millions of U.S. jobs, especially in manufacturing and heavy industry. Tariffs targeted a wide range of products, from steel and aluminum to washing machines, furniture, and more, affecting both raw materials and finished goods. The goal was to pressure companies to manufacture in the U.S., preserve American jobs, and revitalize struggling industries that had been hit hard by foreign competition. National security laws were invoked to justify these moves, sparking heated debate over whether economic policy should be tied to defense, and whether such measures truly protected the nation's interests. Tariffs also became a powerful bargaining chip in international trade negotiations, with threats of higher rates creating uncertainty for businesses and sometimes straining relationships with key trading partners. Companies never knew when costs might spike or when new tariffs would be announced, making long-term planning and investment decisions much more difficult for both large corporations and small businesses. The administration's approach was bold and disruptive, but it left businesses and consumers facing unpredictable price hikes, supply chain disruptions, and uncertainty about the future. This strategy fundamentally changed America's approach to global trade, shifting the focus from free trade to protectionism and economic self-reliance. The Supreme Court's ruling now forces a reckoning with these tactics, raising questions about the limits of presidential power and the future of trade policy. The question remains, was the pain of higher prices and economic uncertainty worth the intended gain of stronger American industries and jobs? That's what the nation must now decide, as Americans weigh the costs and benefits of tariffs in shaping the country's economic future. Supporters of the tariffs saw them as a way to protect American jobs and industries, especially in manufacturing. They argued tariffs would level the playing field, force countries like China to negotiate fairly, and restore U.S. economic strength. Critics, including many economists, warned tariffs would raise costs for American businesses and consumers, threatening jobs in industries reliant on imports. They called tariffs a tax on Americans, not foreign countries. Legally, opponents argued the president overstepped, using emergency powers meant for rare threats to justify sweeping economic changes. The heart of the Supreme Court case: who really controls trade policy, Congress or the president? The answer would reshape the balance of power in Washington, and it would determine the future of American trade. The Supreme Court's decision zeroed in on the president's use of emergency powers to impose tariffs, a move that had sparked intense national debate and drawn scrutiny from lawmakers, economists, and the public alike. The justices ruled that broad, long-term tariffs can't be justified by vague claims of national security or economic emergency. Instead, they emphasized that the government must provide concrete evidence and a compelling rationale before taking such sweeping action. They clarified that only a clear, direct threat can trigger such presidential action, and that the threshold for invoking emergency powers must be high to prevent abuse. The court limited the use of old laws like the Trade Expansion Act, insisting Congress must play a central role in major trade decisions. This ruling reasserts the importance of legislative oversight in shaping the nation's economic future. The majority warned against concentrating too much power in the executive branch, reaffirming the Constitution's separation of powers. They stressed that checks and balances are essential to prevent any one branch from overreaching. While some justices dissented, arguing for more deference to the president, the majority view prevailed. The dissenters cautioned that limiting executive flexibility could hinder swift responses to genuine crises. The ruling doesn't eliminate all presidential authority on trade, but it sets strict new boundaries, making it clear that unilateral action is now subject to greater scrutiny and legal challenge. From now on, sweeping tariffs require clear congressional backing. Lawmakers must be directly involved in decisions that impact the entire economy. The decision redraws the legal map for U.S. trade policy, setting a precedent that will influence future administrations and international negotiations. The message is clear: no president can act alone on such a massive economic scale. The balance of power, as envisioned by the Constitution, must be preserved for the good of the nation. The Trump administration responded defiantly, condemning the Supreme Court's ruling as a threat to national security and American workers. Officials vowed to pursue new legal strategies and push Congress for fresh authority. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers criticized the court for limiting presidential flexibility, while Democrats and some Republicans praised the decision as a check on executive power. The ruling puts Congress in the spotlight, forcing lawmakers to finally confront America's long-term trade strategy. For years, Congress avoided tough choices on tariffs. Now, they have no choice. The coming months will see fierce debate over the future of U.S. trade policy. The decision has sparked a conversation Washington can no longer ignore. America's economic future is now in Congress's hands. The stakes couldn't be higher. For many American businesses, the Supreme Court's decision brings a wave of relief, ending months of uncertainty and anxiety about the future. Tariffs had driven up costs, squeezed profits, and forced some companies to make tough choices just to stay afloat. Industry groups hope the ruling will restore stability to supply chains, encourage investment, and eventually lower prices for consumers across the country. But for industries once protected by tariffs like steel and aluminum, the future is uncertain. Many worry about how they'll compete with cheaper imports. Renewed foreign competition could mean job losses, plant closures, and difficult transitions for entire communities. Workers in these sectors fear for their livelihoods, uncertain about what the coming months will bring. Yet, others see new opportunities for growth, innovation, and expansion into global markets. For families, the most immediate impact could be lower prices on everyday goods, from electronics to furniture, making household budgets stretch further. Tariffs acted as a hidden tax, quietly raising the cost of living for millions of Americans. Their removal may offer much-needed relief, especially amid ongoing inflation concerns and economic uncertainty. The debate over tariffs was always about economic security, balancing the need to protect American jobs with the desire to lower costs for everyone. Protecting jobs versus lowering costs remains a central question for policymakers and citizens alike. The Supreme Court's ruling doesn't end that debate, nor does it provide easy answers, but it shifts the landscape and sets the stage for new conversations about America's economic direction. Americans now face new questions about how best to secure their economic future, both as individuals and as a nation. The effects of this decision will ripple through every household and business, shaping the country's economic story for years to come. The Supreme Court's decision is making waves worldwide. America's allies, Europe, Canada, Japan, South Korea, see hope for more stable, cooperative trade relations. For China, the ruling is a mixed bag. It eases pressure on their exports, but doesn't end the broader US-China rivalry. Developing nations, hit hard by tariffs, welcome the move as a return to fairer global commerce. The decision reaffirms the importance of international rules and reduces the risk of sudden, unilateral US actions. It's a reminder that American policy can impact workers and businesses across the globe. The tariff era created global uncertainty. This ruling could help restore trust and predictability. America's checks and balances are on display for the world to see. The message: U.S. economic policy is governed by law, not just politics. The Supreme Court's decision marks a turning point for U.S. trade policy and democracy. It reasserts Congress's vital role and sets clear limits on presidential power. Now, America faces a choice: build a smarter, more balanced trade policy that supports workers without punishing consumers or allies. This means investing in innovation, education, and fair negotiations with trading partners. The ruling is a chance for the U.S. to reclaim global leadership by recommitting to a rules-based economic order. It's not about winners or losers, it's about upholding the rule of law and the nation's core values. The road ahead will be challenging, but the rules are now clearer. America has a fresh opportunity to build a stronger, more resilient economy. The future is unwritten, and this decision gives the country a new page to write its next chapter. The world is watching to see what America does next.